Hi, I'm Paul. For this video, I'm going to have a look into experiences. And the reason why I'm going to look into experiences is I've got no clue what experiences is. You see, I realized yesterday that I've never looked into experiences. I've never put any time into it at all, or do I say thought into it, or never looked into it. And it seems that my brain doesn't want to look into it. Don't know why. But it's never even crossed my mind to look into experiences, apart from somebody said that quite a while ago, or I'd heard many times, that to be the non-dual or spiritual or whatever, you must get rid of all experiences. But when I thought about it yesterday, I thought, well, what exactly are experiences? I'm not sure. So I thought I'd have a talk about that on this video. So don't really listen exactly to what I say. Think about it yourself, because I don't know if I'm right. Never looked into it. You see, when I try to look into it, I come up with pain is an experience. But I've never really thought any more into it than pain is an experience. You see, if I have pain, I clearly experience the pain. And we can say that experience of pain, whether I've got an I or a self-center or no self-center, I clearly still feel pain. It's sensory, obviously. So when somebody says, get rid of experiences, this confuses me, because I can't get rid of sensory things. Let's say another experience, the wind against my face, maybe seeing the color on the leaf of that tree over there. I feel wind against my face, that's sensory. But is it just sensory? Do I use thought? I see the color green, is that just sensory? Do I need thought? Does there need to be a me, a self-center there? You see, if I feel the wind against my face, firstly, there's the question, who feels the wind against your face? That just means, is there a separate me recognizing the wind against my face? But there still is wind against my face without thought. So in awareness as such, I suppose I could still have an experience of the wind against my face. Can I not? I think I can. The color green is a sensory experience. My eyes pick it up. My brain automatically turns it into the color green. Well, with this, I guess, the idea of green is created by thought. But I could still see green. Obviously, I've got to communicate it as green, so I have to use something that's thought. But there would still be in it a experience, would there not? I'm sure there would. Maybe I'm using experience wrong, I don't know. Would still be an experience of a color in a sensory way. So is there another way of having, right? So thought can be an experience, and thought can create emotions. Emotions are based on memory and thought. So thought can have an experience, but thought has to come from memory. So maybe I'm coming to something here. So thought has to come from memory, but then we could say, does memory have a choice, or is memory immediate? You see, if memory has a choice, then this memory has to be within. Well, it has to be within time. If it has a choice, it has to. There has to be a center, an image there to look at the choices. So then there has to be this experience of an I, of a me, making the choice in memory to make an experience out of an image or a story. But if memory doesn't have a choice and it's immediate, then there's still an experience, but it doesn't come from the experience of a center. So memory is an experience, but as long as it's left alone, not tampered with, no choice is applied to it, it's immediate, perhaps it's not an experience then. Perhaps it's just there. Perhaps memory leads to an experience. Right, I'm going to say memory isn't an experience. I'm going to say that perhaps memory can lead to an experience, but not an actual experience. You see, the reason why I'm bringing up memory, I guess, is because of thought. So, in that case, memory can lead to thought, and thought would be an experience. But do you need memory to lead to thought if it's immediate? No. No. No, I'm about to walk out in front of a car in a road. Memory tells me that's probably not a good idea, so therefore I don't walk out. There doesn't have to be thought in that. So therefore, there could be an experience in the sense of a sensory experience, my tummy turning, something along that lines, but there doesn't need to be psychological experience. So what I think I'm getting to here is perhaps experience isn't just one thing, but perhaps can be viewed in two different ways. So there's actually experiences in sensory experience and then experiences in thought. But an experience from thought has to happen in time, comes from a center projected outwards. Would that be right? A thought that creates an experience has to move in time from a center, so projected outwards from a center. I would say that's probably about right. So then the psychological experiences and sensory experiences, if you pay attention to the sensory experiences without moving into thought, then there is space. No I, no self, no image. I think that might sound about right. I don't know. You don't have to listen to it. Just think about it yourself. That's probably the best way. But moving away from that, I do recall at some point through my what would I call it? Awareness is, that's probably not the right word. My insight, let's say. Through some of my insight, I remember that I used to run off thought. And thought seemed to be an access to memory. And I remember when this thought stopped. When I look back at it now, actually, it's very easy to see that the thought came from a center. The center wanted to think because it needed to justify itself. It needed to keep moving to say, look, I'm here, I'm alive, this is me, this exists, and so on. So this center wanted to create thought, which meant that it also had to be connected to memory. Justifying memory, it would move into the past, repeat different memories and scenarios and times and so on and so on. And I remember when all this kind of fell away, I explained this in a video a while ago, that I recognized that I all of a sudden said to myself, I don't know if I went to therapy. This was my first realization that memory completely changed. See, I did go to therapy. I kind of know I did, but I remember saying to myself, I don't know if I did go to therapy. I've got nothing to show me that I did. It's like, I have this inkling that I went. I'm pretty sure I did go. But what became obvious is what it seemed that I used to do when I would ask myself the question, or it would pop up in my head whether I'd been to therapy. Then in my head, I would start saying things like, well, yeah, I remember when I did this, and I remember we spoke about that, and so on and so on. And I would be creating a story in my head, which would then make me think, well, yeah, okay, I've got evidence that I went to therapy. Only all of a sudden, this thinking, perhaps the center as well, memory just, well, let's not say memory, let's say thought. Thought disappeared. So therefore, I didn't really have anything to kind of prove or justify that I went to therapy. So in some way we could say here, experiences entirely changed. You see, it wasn't that my memory had completely gone. It was more I had no need. I remember saying that, actually. I had no need to remember whether I went or not. It doesn't matter. There was no need to remember it. The reason why I'm bringing up this is because through the center, we create these stories from memories. Yeah, I went to therapy. I remember when this was said, and I remember when I talked about this, and wow, that was a good time, and so on and so on. This creates an experience, but this type of experience seems to come from a need to fulfill a center, a me. So it's as if I'm trying to gain experiences psychologically. Now, depending on what sort of perhaps personality or the way that your center had been treated from young, perhaps you're looking for different sorts of ways to fulfill this center. Let's say you're neglected when you're younger, then reliving the experience psychologically of being neglected will fulfill the center and therefore keep it in continuity. So I would say that these type of senses psychologically through thought from a center, all the ones which have to be looked at to see the falsity in them, to see that there's no need to go back to them. But then, like I say, there's the senses which don't include coming from a center, which seem to come from an open space. I'm standing or sitting in front of a woodlands and I observe the trees. I observe colours. I don't know if I'm right in saying colours, but it seems right to me. But I observe colours. I could observe a tree, and that tree is part of truth and non-truth. You see, the tree itself, without any input of thought, without any description, without any memory, without anything, is true, real. But if I imply something to it, an oak tree, silver birch, a memory, then this becomes it becomes a reality. It comes from a center. It's me applying something to it. The real tree itself becomes now hidden behind the story. So therefore, my experiences of the tree would be distorted from a center which wants to turn it into something about me. So therefore, my experiences would be in the form of reality and not truth. So when I say I look around and see color, I suppose I could probably say that. I am seeing color, but the moment I try to label the color, which I'm probably going a bit silly here, but the moment becomes a reality and therefore not truth. It has to come from memory, and me. Anyway, I don't really think I've got any more to add. I don't even know really if I was right with all that. I just wanted to take a look at it myself whilst being on a video. So thanks for listening.